He was the kind that fixed your tire, then stayed for a prayer. Had dust on his boots, but
Welcome back to
love
Vibe
in his
Podcast.
stare.
Today we're discussing the
Never
text
asked for
message from
much,
Harpole to Long,
just
a topic
place
researched
in
for
the
us by David
fire,
Morgan.
in a
I'm
world
joined by
that's
Charles and Angela.
Hello everyone, I'm Charles, a linguistic expert, and I'm fascinated by how the subtlest choice of words can carry immense weight, especially in critical communications like text messages.
And I'm Angela, a cold and warm case investigator. My job is to peel back the layers of information, identify the players, and understand the sequence of events that lead to an outcome, whether it's a success or, tragically, a failure.
Excellent. So, Charles, let's start with the message itself. It reads, "Hello Chief Long, we received this message today from the student group. FYSA, there is student roof access pretty close to where CK will be set up at Utah Valley. The Sorensen Student Center has a couple staircases that go up to the walkways on the roof. What jumps out at you initially from a linguistic perspective?"
Right away, the FYSA is significant. For your situational awareness, it's a very formal, almost military or corporate shorthand. It tells us this isn't a casual chat. It's a professional communication meant to convey critical information without embellishment. It demands attention and implies urgency for the recipient, Chief Long. The quoted text within the message also tells us that the sender isn't summarizing, they're relaying verbatim intelligence.
And as an investigator, that FYSA immediately flags this as a security alert. This isn't just an observation, it's a warning. The information about roof access near where CK will be set up points directly to a potential threat vector, an elevated position that could be exploited. My first thought is, who sent this, and why were they sending it directly to Chief Long?
And the research by David Morgan helps us answer that, doesn't it, Angela?
It absolutely does. This text message wasn't just between any two people. The recipient, Chief Long, is Jeffrey Long, Chief of Police at Utah Valley University, or UVU. The sender, we now know, was Brian Harpole, the head of Integrity Security Solutions, a private security contractor working for Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA, or TPUSA. CK is Charlie Kirk himself, and the student group likely refers to the TPUSA UVU chapter, who were hosting the event. Tragically, this communication occurred days before Charlie Kirk was assassinated at this very event.
Wow, that context completely changes the linguistic weight of every word. Now, let's revisit the student group. This is crucial. My initial analysis would be that the implies a specific, known entity to both sender and recipient. But with this new information, it's even more profound. It's not a student group, which could be random. The student group validates the source of the intelligence for Chief Long. It's coming from the specific, recognized organizers of the event, giving it immediate credibility and relevance.
Exactly. From an investigative standpoint, the chain of information flow becomes paramount. The TPUSA student group, as the event organizers, were on site, scouting the venue, doing setup. They're the ones who discovered the unguarded roof access before the event happened. They immediately informed their contracted private security, Brian Harpole. Harpole then, with professional responsibility, escalated that warning directly to Chief Long, the highest campus authority with jurisdiction to secure a university building. They went to their assigned security person in Brian Harpole's team. Harpole's firm was contracted specifically to protect Charlie Kirk and the event. When the students found a vulnerability that could threaten their speaker or their event, they went to their security contact. Harpole then had the professional obligation to communicate that critical intelligence to the only person who could act on it within the university's jurisdiction, Chief Long.
So Harpole's choice of the student group wasn't just identifying the TPUSA chapter, it was also implicitly stating, this actionable intelligence is coming from the people on the ground, our primary client contacts, who have the most intimate knowledge of the setup. It lends an authority to the intelligence that a simple, "we found," might not have. Though how they knew where the tent would be is perplexing.
It paints a clearer picture. But Angela, why were the students the ones pointing out the roof access, not Harpole's security firm or the university police? This seems like a basic security error.
That's the most critical question in this whole tragic incident. Harpole's private security firm, Integrity Security Solutions, had very specific and limited authority. Harpole himself stated his team was restricted to a bubble about 30 meters around the stage. They were focused on close protection for Charlie Kirk. They had no authority to lock down university property, close staircases, or patrol a roof. That was UVU police's jurisdiction. The students, as the on-site organizers, were intimately familiar with the venue from their setup. They were the eyes on the ground who discovered the vulnerability and, responsibly, flagged it to their security contact.
And the text specifically mentions the Sorensen Student Center, even though the event was in the Hall of Flags courtyard. Was there a discrepancy?
Not at all. It highlights the integrated nature of the campus. The Sorensen Student Center courtyard is the Hall of Flags courtyard, or at least the main outdoor plaza adjacent to the Sorensen building. The students focused on the Sorensen because the specific vulnerability, the staircases to roof walkways, was structurally part of that building. Anyone on those Sorensen roof walkways would have a direct, elevated, unobstructed line of sight down into the courtyard where Charlie Kirk was. They were pointing out the platform for a potential attack.
There were images released, Angela, of the shooter on a stairwell, and a man in a white t-shirt near him. Could that man have been one of Harpole's security guys, discreetly guarding the Sorensen access, even if he wasn't authorized?
That is a very compelling and highly plausible theory that ties directly into Harpole's claims after the event. Harpole stated he asked UVU police to secure the roof or allow his team to, and Chief Long allegedly replied, "I got you covered." Harpole then claimed no one from UVU was assigned. If Harpole felt Chief Long wasn't following through, he would have a massive incentive to use an off-duty or plainclothes member of his team to try and discreetly monitor that specific vulnerability himself. A man in a white t-shirt wouldn't be an official uniform, allowing for a covert operation. While unconfirmed, it fits the narrative of a security chief taking desperate measures when he felt the official channels were failing.
So, despite Harpole's warning and potential unofficial actions, tragedy struck. But David Morgan's research indicates that Chief Long did secure the roof above the Hall of Flags with tape and had a police officer present around 11:45 a.m. How does that fit in?
That piece of information introduces a critical, almost heartbreaking, conflict. If a UVU officer was stationed at the Sorensen Hall of Flags roof access around 11:45 a.m., it means Chief Long did respond to Harpole's text warning. He acknowledged the threat and took some action. This contradicts the widely reported claims of complete inaction. However, the sniper was later confirmed to have fired from the roof of the adjacent Losi Center. This suggests the failure wasn't total inaction, but a failure of scale and perimeter control. They secured the specific spot mentioned in the text, but the shooter simply chose the next door, equally accessible, and crucially, unsecured high ground.
And it's believed that the officer above the Hall of Flags ran to the Losi Center because he saw the shooter. But ran alone.
Yes, and that is the most direct evidence of the chain of security failures. That officer's action confirms the UVU police response was tragically flawed. They had an officer at the identified location, the Hall of Flags roof access. But the shooter exploited the unsecured Losi Center. The officer, spotting the shooter, would have been the first official law enforcement witness. Their sprint towards the Losi Center directly connects to the FBI footage of the shooter fleeing in their urgent dispatch audio reports. It marks the precise moment of tragic realization that the security perimeter was incomplete. But the officer fails to get to the roof before the shooter has escaped.
And what about the 100 ROTC Army cadets? Could they be the student group Harpole referred to?
That's a highly insightful point. While TPUSA was the official host, the presence of 100 ROTC cadets dramatically alters the possibilities for the student group. ROTC cadets are trained in military discipline, situational awareness, and basic security assessment. They are far more likely than the average student to notice unsecured high ground as a tactical vulnerability. If the ROTC was present, perhaps for a ceremony or assisting with logistics, Harpole, as a security professional, would see them as a single, identifiable, and credible unit of students trained to spot such risks.
That makes perfect sense. From a linguistic standpoint, the student group then becomes a professional shortcut for the most relevant, security-aware student body on site. It's not just students, it's the students who are trained to notice this kind of thing. It adds an extra layer of credibility to the intelligence for Chief Long.
And it's very plausible Harpole was, in a way, paid to protect both. While his primary contract was for Charlie Kirk and TPUSA, in large events, ensuring the safety of all official personnel, including any student groups assisting with logistics like ROTC, falls under a broader umbrella of security coordination. The ROTC cadets providing intelligence about a roof vulnerability would be invaluable. Harpole's job was to secure the event, and that intelligence, regardless of the precise source within the student group, collective, was critical for his plan. It underscores the complexity and the tragic missed opportunities in this case.
That's all for today. A big thank you to our guest researcher, David Morgan, for providing our topic.
Had dust on his boots, but love in his stare. Never asked for much, just a place in the choir, and a world that still knew right from the liar. When good men die, the world goes awry. The stars lose their place in the sky. The truth gets sold for $1 in pride, and the future is changed by